All right, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining me for class for today. My name is Charlotte Scheid, and I'm one of the Giant Company dietitians. We have a wonderful special class for today, which is busy season snacks. I was actually thinking today it's definitely starting to feel like fall today, the cooler weather, and of course, stuff is really picking up. So we thought that this would be a wonderful topic to talk a little bit about snacking, especially during this busy season with everything going on. So I put on the slide, "'Tis the season," because obviously there is a lot that the fall brings. So fall definitely brings a season full of activity, whether you have kids that are in school, so with back to school, or maybe you're in college, so you're back to school in that way. There's a lot of sports that are picking up, extracurricular activities. The holidays are ramping up with Halloween, then Thanksgiving. So thinking about those things. And then the shorter days too sometimes make it feel like obviously there's not enough time to do everything, fit it into the day. So fall definitely brings a lot of activity. But our goal for this season was snacking. So snacking is definitely important to keep our energy high. We want to accomplish a lot of different things throughout the day, and to go to our activities that we want to. We want to keep our energy high, but keep it as low stress as possible. So we want snacks that can be easy and quick, good for on the go. So packing it maybe in your purse or in your car, taking it where you are headed, and then meal prepping ahead of time. So if you are not picking up a snack product, if you're making some type of snack recipe, you can meal prep it ahead of time, keep it in the refrigerator, on the counter, pre-portion it, and then take it on the go as you need it. But my first poll question of the day that I wanted to ask all of you is if you eat balanced snacks, and we'll go into a little bit about what a balanced snack consists of, but from your perspective, I want to know, do you eat balanced snacks? So let me go ahead and pull up this poll. You can go ahead and answer this. Okay, so from your perspective, do you eat balanced snacks? So yes or no? And again, snacks during the busy season are very important to have to keep our energy up. Okay, I'll give everybody a couple seconds. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and end the poll, and I'll share the results. So it's almost kind of split in half. The majority say yes, but then there's a lot of you that say no. So hopefully this class today will help you build a balanced snack and know how to do so. So thanks everybody for answering that question. Alrighty. So there's a lot of different types of benefits of better snacking and balanced snacking. So snacks help to bridge the gap between meals. So definitely if we're not eating between meals, we can sometimes feel very hungry, but definitely helps to satisfy our hunger between meals and helps to prevent us from overeating at meals. Because if we are very hungry, have low blood sugar, not feeling very well or irritable, which are all signs of low blood sugar, we definitely can overeat at meals and maybe consume things that we don't want to as much of. I know if I'm have really low blood sugar, it's not a good not a good situation. You want to grab everything out of the pantry, the refrigerator. So snacking helps to prevent us from overeating at meals, especially if we're having a balanced snack. It helps to boost our energy, of course, which is really important during the busy season. We want to keep our energy up, and also to provide some more nutrients as well, different vitamins, minerals, and protein to help us stay healthy. Which, of course, in the fall season, sometimes that can lead us back to kind of germ season sickness. We always want to make sure that we are consuming a variety of different foods to help us stay healthy. Also, again, I had mentioned about low blood sugar. Benefits of snacking, especially with balanced snacking, helps us to manage our blood sugar spikes and dips. So I know that dips, especially if we're consuming snacks with a lot of like added sugar, and that it digests really quickly and it spikes our blood sugar, then it dips really low. It can cause drowsiness. I know if my blood sugar dips, feel very tired, very irritable. I'm not able to focus very well and then concentrate. So especially if kids are back in school or they have sports after school, we want to help them be able to focus and then concentrate if they're doing a sport, if they have to do homework and that type of thing. Also, snacks can really help our mood. So sometimes if we're we are going to experience shorter days and more darkness, sometimes that can affect our mood. But certain foods, especially if you include it in snacks, could increase our mood, make us feel better. And this is especially the case if we're incorporating foods with omega-3 fatty acids. So a lot of research showing that these are very mood boosting foods. So things like chia seeds and tuna, berries, so strawberries, blueberries, raspberries, blackberries, dark chocolate. Of course, not a whole bag of dark chocolate, but just a, in moderation, portion size. But dark chocolate has also been shown to have some mood boosting. You'd always include that in the trail mix. Nuts and seeds, so almonds and walnuts. Pumpkin seeds are great to incorporate into different types of snacks, with the fall season, and then also whole grains like oats. So whole grains, especially with oats, sometimes can be included in energy bites. So those are always good for a balanced snack on the go. So definitely a lot of benefits of snacking, but definitely help with that blood sugar regulation and also can increase our mood and make us feel good. So a snack versus a treat. So we want to think of snacks almost like mini meals. They can help fuel our body and brain throughout the day. Of course, very important for kids in school. We always want to fuel their brain, help them with, thinking throughout the day and learning. So I'll think of snacks as mini meals. And definitely snacks can help you fill nutrient needs and then those missing food groups that maybe we're not eating as much of at the actual meal, but they can definitely help to fill those nutrient needs, what we need to help us be healthy. And a snack should definitely not be confused with a treat. So when we think of treats, they're often indulgent foods, so they can be high in added sugars and fats and sodium or salt that we should consume less often. So these can be things like cookies and chips, some of those packaged products. So why are treats not a balanced snack option? So I just want to mention here that we don't really consider any foods, good foods or totally bad foods. We can always consume everything in moderation. However, there are foods that we should aim to consume more of and then less often. So less often, obviously, that those products or foods that are high in added sugar, high in added sodium, maybe saturated fat, more of the healthier fats and more fiber and foods with more vitamins and minerals. And ultra-processed food, of course, again, like what I mentioned, typically have excess of those simple sugars or added sugars. And the problem with this, so if we're just consuming cookies or things that have a lot of just sugar and there's no protein to balance it out, what happens is that when it's digested, the sugar is released quickly into the bloodstream. So this can lead to a really, an energy spike. But the problem is that then it will lead with a crash or a really good dip in energy, which we do not want because then we'll probably run to the refrigerator trying to grab all the snack foods that we don't want. So we always want to have that balance. So how to snack for energy. So I will say, I always like a good cup of coffee. And sometimes when we want really quick energy, we tend to go to a coffee energy drink. So caffeine stimulates the central nervous system and does make us feel more alert. But we do need to consume calories from macronutrients, so carbohydrates and proteins and fats. So we'll go over that in a couple slides to get genuine energy that our body can use. So yes, caffeine is going to stimulate the central nervous system and definitely will have that energy spike. It'll make us feel alert, but it will not last long. And that's why we need to consume the calories from those macronutrients to help us have energy, sustained energy throughout the day. And then carbs may get a bad rap, but our body definitely needs carbohydrates and they are the brain's preferred source of energy. So we definitely want to focus on those complex carbs when we're thinking about a balanced snack. And we do want to remember to try to eat regularly throughout the day to maintain a steady stream of energy. And so not to experience those blood sugar lows, and then, that can disrupt productivity and mood. So the anatomy of a better snack. So there's three components, and we'll go in a little bit about the snack equation. But for three components, we do want to focus on complex carbohydrates. And so what that means is some type of carbohydrate that has a lot of fiber in it or has fiber in it in general. So that's going to help us have sustained energy. So things like whole grains and fruits and vegetables, and the fruits, especially with the skin on, is going to provide that fiber for us. Apples are in season right now, and pears are going to be in season, but definitely this is apple season, which is really nice. And apples make for a great snack, and there's definitely a variety of apples to choose from as well. So we want complex carbohydrates. We also want protein. So protein is really important for that satiety or fullness. Also important for muscle maintenance. So if you do have a kid that is in sports, this will definitely help for muscle repair and kind of, that sports nutrition. So things like yogurt. So Greek yogurt is a great one that's high in protein, nuts, and then eggs as well. And of course, incorporating some healthy fats also to provide, flavor, satisfaction, satiety, fullness. So things like avocados, seeds, nuts, and nut butters are great sources of healthy fats. So when we're thinking about a better snack, creating that balance, complex carbohydrates, proteins, and then some fats. So at snack time, like what we mentioned, more often we want those whole grains like oats, and then we want fiber, helps us to feel full longer, lean protein, so things like tuna, chicken without the skin. And then we want stuff that has more vitamins and minerals in it. So if you're consuming more fruits and vegetables, you're definitely going to be having more vitamins and minerals. And of course, less often, the saturated fats, which are in a lot of packaged and processed foods, that can, lead to stuff that's not as healthy for our heart. Same with sodium, cholesterol, and then added sugar. So added sugars, especially, as Americans, we can definitely try to do less of added sugar. So when we're thinking of a balanced snack, more often whole grains, fiber, lean protein, vitamins, minerals, and then less often of the ones that I mentioned there. So how to balance your snack. So again, it might be tempting to just grab an apple. So just an apple itself, which is a nice part of a snack, but of course we want to balance that. But so an apple, or if you're just having a cup of coffee or just pretzels by itself as a snack, it might be tempting to do that just because it's easy. But in order to have a healthy balanced snack, we should definitely aim for 2 out of the 5 food groups at least. For example, a Greek yogurt with some sliced strawberries includes fruits from the dairy and then fruit groups. So it definitely has that fiber and protein and then a little healthy fat to keep you full and productive. So trying to think about a couple different food groups. And then what will satisfy? So something that is crunchy. So we mentioned vegetables, so raw vegetable sticks. And these are good ideas too, especially for kids, because I think with kids, they can get stuck in a rut and then maybe will not want a snack. So we always want to keep it kind of creative and, flavorful, but something that's crunchy. So raw vegetable sticks, nuts, seeds, whole grain crackers, apple, maybe something that's creamy. So cottage cheese seems to be all the rave these days, and a lot of variety of different recipes include cottage cheese, but that's a great one. I have a recipe at the end that has cottage cheese that I really like. But yogurt is a good creamy option. Hummus is popular, and we have individual hummuses in store that's really nice for on the go. And then avocado or even like guacamole is satisfying, has that creamy texture. Also something that's sweet, so chopped fresh fruit or dark chocolate, something savory or salty, so cube or slice of cheese. So we have a variety of in the store, definitely cube cheeses, slice of cheeses, so it makes it really easy to pull out the package and then, take it on the go. Roasted chickpeas are popular, especially or like by themselves, or you can put them in a trail mix. Handful of nuts or nut butter as well. So a general rule of thumb is to aim for about 150 to 250 calories per snack as adults. So what this is equivalent to is an apple with a tablespoon of peanut butter, or you could pair it with a string cheese, or I'm sorry, an apple with a tablespoon of peanut butter, or a string cheese with 6 whole grain crackers. So not a whole lot. So if you feel like you don't have time to consume a snack, to get that 150 to 250 calories is really, not too much food, but it will help to keep that blood sugar stable. So this is a snack equation. So when we're thinking about balance and, if you have no idea kind of what to put together, what you want to, the two things that you want to pair, we want to do some type of carbohydrate or veggie or with a protein and fat. So carbohydrate or veggie helps to give us that fiber and quick energy that we need. And then the protein and fat is going to help us have that feeling of fullness or satiety. So trying to pair some type of carbohydrate veggie with a protein or fat is going to help to create that balanced snack. All right, so for carbohydrate veggie, these are some options. So I had mentioned about apples are in season right now, and they make for a great kind of that carbohydrate part of a balanced snack. So apple or pear slices, you can do whole wheat crackers or carrots, banana, which is great for on the go. whole wheat bread, which a lot of times you can toast that and put something or kind of layer it with different things. Berries, celery sticks, dried fruit, which go great in a trail mix, baked tortilla chips, some sliced bell pepper, popcorn, and then dry cereal as well, which also goes, well in a trail mix or pairing it with something else. And you can see here, these are the food groups that we're pulling from. So fruits, vegetables, and then grains are going to have that. So carbohydrate, veggie. And then in terms of protein or fat, so we want to pair it with things like guacamole. So in store, we have those individual guacamoles, which are really nice. I know that I pack, or my daughter eats those all the time. So a little bit of guacamole helps to provide that healthy fat that we want. You do a mozzarella cheese stick, which is usually kids like the cheese sticks, cottage cheese, peanut butter, almonds, pumpkin seeds, hard-boiled egg, which we do have Nature's Promise hard-boiled eggs, which is nice because you don't have to hard-boil them at all. They're already ready to go. Pistachios, hummus, roasted chickpeas. You can even do like deli turkey, ham, or roast beef, which is pretty easy, or even ricotta cheese as well. So let me actually click one more time. Wait. Okay, so these are the two food groups that they're pulling from. So protein and dairy, and I guess avocado too. Would be in that fruit and vegetable category. So to pair it up, so to building a balanced snack, so you can do dried fruit with almonds. So of course that would maybe be in a trail mix. And then you could do whole wheat crackers and mozzarella cheese sticks. So again, if you're kind of getting stuck in a rut, you can always look at these two lists and just kind of pair something up of what you like. It makes it a little bit easier. But of course, these are just a couple examples of, the many different ones that you can choose from. And these are some other examples. So I know in our house, we tend to do a lot of veggies like with hummus, and in store, we have a lot of different varieties of hummus and flavors, which is nice because, again, kind of getting out of that stuck in a rut mentality. You could do whole wheat toast and peanut butter, some cottage cheese, some pineapple, or whatever fruit that you would like. You can do a high fiber cereal with milk. Oatmeal and berries is a great one. You could do, let's see, baby carrots, and you could do a Greek yogurt ranch dip, which is nice. You can make that homemade. You do a hard-boiled egg with sliced bell pepper, some popcorn and nuts, a simple smoothie, which I have in a couple slides, a great pumpkin spice smoothie recipe, which is really nice. So smoothies are great, especially for kids who are in sports or on the go. If you like roasted edamame, you could pair that with grapes or even chickpeas and grapes. So a lot of different options here with pairing for a balanced snack. So you definitely don't have to, do the same thing over and over again. A lot of different options to choose from. So some snack tips for the busy season, because obviously, like I said, the season is busy, but I think pre-planning is something to keep in mind. So pre-planning snacks at the beginning of each week, or even at the beginning of the day in the morning, having it in the refrigerator or just whatever. If you will have like a hard-boiled egg, just like, pre-portioning it out, but definitely pre-planning the snack so saves time with a busy schedule and you're more likely to actually consume the snack, which is nice. And you can also make a grocery list and just keep a running list on what is in the refrigerator or pantry. And like what I mentioned before with, highly processed snack foods, because they're going to be higher in sugar, fat, sodium, and lower in nutrients, that are not quite as healthy for our kids. You want to kind of minimize those and of course create more of a balanced snack. So we want to again keep that blood sugar stable and to prevent spikes, because of course this usually prompts us to eat more. All right, so hopefully everybody has kind of an idea of what a balanced snack is. So we're just going to do a quick game. So I want to know from you, and I'll do or pull up the question. So I want to know from all of you, is this a balanced snack? So let me go to this and pull this up. All right, so go ahead and answer that question. So is this a balanced snack? So again, we have our banana here with some saltines. All right, so I'll go ahead and end the poll. Let me go ahead and share the results. So it looks like a lot of you said yes, but then there's quite a few that said no. So this is actually not a balanced snack, and the reason being because these are two kind of carbohydrate foods. But what would make this more balanced is to pair it with some type of protein. So that could be peanut butter or cheese, cottage cheese, just pairing it with some type of protein, either with the banana or the saltines. All right, let's go to the next one. So next we have our Taste of Inspirations original hummus and carrots. So let me go ahead, do this one. So go ahead and answer that question. So is this a balanced snack? So can we have our hummus and carrots? All right, so go ahead and end the poll. And everybody did a great job because this is definitely a balanced snack. So hummus is giving us our protein, and then we have a veggie with it. So it's a wonderful balanced snack, especially for our after school, on the go, and whatnot. So good job, everyone. Alrighty, and our last one is our Nature's Promise hard cooked peeled eggs and then whole wheat bread. So let me pull up our last poll. All right, so go ahead and answer that question. So again, we have our hard-boiled egg with a piece of whole wheat bread or toast. All right, so let's see what everybody said. So it looks like a lot of you said yes, and you are right. So our hard cooked peeled egg is providing protein, and then carbohydrate, that whole wheat bread is a carbohydrate and providing a lot of fiber too. So this is definitely a balanced snack. So great job, everyone. All right. So these are some snack products at Giant Martin. So I kind of did 3 slides of these, so different products, and then like what you would pair them with to give everybody some ideas. So for the first one, and I really like these Colby Jack, or we have different varieties of the different cheeses, but they're prepackaged cheese bar. I guess you call them a bar. But this would pair really well with apples or pears. So cheese is providing the protein, then apple pears, the carbohydrate. For the Harvest Snaps, which I absolutely love, they have a great Caesar seasoning one, which is good, but you could always pair this with a hummus or kind of some type of savory Greek yogurt dip. The Chomps, which gives us that protein, and those are individually prepackaged, which makes it nice from and go. This would pair really well with a fruit, veggie, or some type of whole grain cracker. Vienna chickpea snacks, which is the sea salt. They also have a honey roasted one, which goes well with, something kind of like more of like a sweeter snack. But the sea salt would go really well in a trail mix. So you could put it in with almonds, dried fruit, pumpkin seeds. We also have some popcorn that's individually packaged, so that would pair really well with string cheese. Also, so I mentioned before about our Nature's Promise individual hummuses. So this is really nice, but that would pair well with some type of whole grain tortilla chip. In store, we have a blue corn tortilla chip, which is really, really good. I always like that one to purchase that, but that would go really well with different types of hummuses. We have our green apple slices here. We also have red apple slices that are also individual package ones that are nice. But you could pair that with a nut or seed butter or baked wheat snack crackers. Could pair well with cheese. We have our Greek non-fat yogurt, which provides protein. We could top it with a little bit of berries, some chia seeds for extra fiber. And then we have our protein bars. So this gives us kind of a good combination of protein, carb, and fiber. You could pair it with something else, but it kind of has what we already need in it. So that's perfect for on the go. And then we have carrot chips. So I know that my daughters, they like these just because they really like the shape of them, which for picky eaters, whatever works. But these Nature's Promise carrot chips are really great if you want to pair that. So that should say, so I meant to say a Greek yogurt, kind of some type of Greek yogurt savory dip with that one or hummus. So I'll have to correct that one. Next, we have our omega-3 trail mix. So you can kind of eat this by itself because it already has the protein and carbohydrates. So in this one, there is sweetened dried cranberries, almonds, and walnuts, and pistachios, which give the protein, but the dried cranberries will give us our carb. And that has around 150 calories. Cottage cheese, you can pair this with a rice cake. In a couple slides, I have a good recipe for that. A guacamole you could pair with a whole grain tortilla chip, and then the peanut butter, banana, or toast. So you can see a lot of different options for a balanced snack with some products in store. So next time you're in store, definitely check out these products. So these are some snack recipe inspirations that are coming from Savory, which is a wonderful website if you, need to change things up and want a different type of snack recipe. Definitely go to our Savory online website. So this is the cottage cheese one that I was mentioning. Not a lot of ingredients, but it is really, really good, especially if you like everything bagels, which I always like everything bagels. I think they are really good and I love the seasoning. But if you haven't tried this one, all this is a rice cake with cottage cheese, and then you just put a little bit of everything bagel seasoning right on top, which I believe is like some salt, garlic, sesame seeds. Can't remember all the ingredients in the everything bagel seasoning, but it's really good, I think. And it has 8 grams of protein, 1 gram of fiber. So this is one option. And I'm trying to, let's see here. It does get 1 guiding star. So we know that the more stars that a recipe has, the more nutritionally beneficial it is. Next we have, which I think is perfect for the fall time, with the different spices that are in it, and then apples being in season. But this one gets 2 guiding stars. You could definitely make this at the beginning of the week and pre-portion it out and then put it in the refrigerator and then take it out as you need it. But this has oats, which really gives great fiber, some flour, the cinnamon apples, some apple cider, and so the cinnamon is a great fall spice, and then some butter and vanilla. But when you bake those, you can pre-portion them out for the week. So this gives great fiber, which is nice. So this gives 5 grams of protein and 3 grams of fiber. And then lastly, this is that pumpkin spice smoothie. So you can always make this and kind of take it in a, container on the go. But this has Greek non-fat vanilla yogurt, which gives protein, has some pure pumpkin in it, so that pumpkin puree, some oats, banana, vanilla extract, and then some pumpkin pie spice that you'll put in it, and you can put some on top to garnish. But I've made this before, and it is very, very delicious, and it gets 3 guiding stars. What's nice is it has a lot of protein in it, so it has 16 grams of protein and then almost 6 grams of fiber. So definitely help you to feel fuller longer and keep you satisfied, help to prevent that blood sugar dip. But especially for the season and the fall, this is a great one. And I just wanted to mention this one too, because I've made this in the past. It's not a savory recipe, but if you're looking for a good trail mix, I kind of call this a Harvest Crunch trail mix recipe. So what I mix together is pecans and walnuts, some pumpkin seeds, which of course are perfect for this time of year. You can do any freeze-dried fruit, but I like freeze-dried apples because again, with the fall season, and then also you put in some yogurt-covered raisins. You could put in then some cereal. I use the Chex cereal on the whole grain one, and then you just top with some seasoning with some cinnamon and nutmeg, and it really is so so good. So if you're looking to make a trail mix, I would highly recommend this one. It does not take long to make, but it definitely makes me it just the flavor is definitely fall-like. All right. So in summary, so I hope everybody learned a little bit something about balanced snacking, but these are just some summary thoughts as you're thinking about balanced snacks for this busy season. So like what I mentioned before, we know that snacks are a very important part of a healthy eating pattern, especially with kids. They're needed and adults, but especially with kids being back to school, they're definitely needed for sustained energy, for growth. So for consuming snacks is definitely providing those nutrients that we may be missing at mealtime. But especially with growth for kids, snacks can definitely help with that, and also of course with the germ season sickness starting up, help us to stay healthy. So that balance is also key with building balanced snacks. So we want to remember about the snack equation. So again, the carbohydrate or veggie paired with a protein or fat. And variety matters too. So obviously different foods are going to have different nutrients and vitamins and minerals. We always want to kind of change it up, not get stuck in a rut, but try to have variety in what we're consuming. And then meal prep, or I guess I should say snack prep, during the busy season. This is going to help you to make sure that you are consuming the snacks that you need and don't feel stressed about it. I think, prepping is always a great way to ensure that we are getting the snacks that we want to consume. All right.